The world is a vast, interconnected tapestry of human experience, yet it is rare that billions of minds, scattered across continents and divided by oceans, find themselves tuning into the exact same frequency at the exact same moment. We live in an era defined by constant distraction, a relentless barrage of fleeting digital noise and fragmented attention spans, where true unity of focus feels almost impossible to achieve. Yet, history has shown us that certain rare milestones possess an almost magnetic power, a unique capability to freeze the relentless gears of global society and command the absolute concentration of humanity. When such an event unfolds, the scale of public participation reaches dimensions that defy ordinary imagination, transforming everyday streets into packed arenas of shared anticipation and turning living rooms in every corner of the planet into communal viewing spaces. To fully comprehend the sheer magnitude of these cultural phenomena, one must look closely at how the colossal weight of collective human attention begins to gather, building a palpable tension that ripples through the air long before the central figure even appears on the stage. Think, for example, of the grandest public spectacles of our time, occasions so immense that they occupy the absolute pinnacle of global media coverage and cultural significance, drawing parallels to the most legendary gatherings in modern memory. Imagine an event scaled to the breathtaking proportions of the historic royal wedding between Prince William and Catherine Middleton, a moment when the entire planet seemed to hold its collective breath in unison. On that unforgettable day, the historic architecture of Westminster Abbey was filled to its absolute capacity with the most influential figures, foreign dignitaries, and distinguished guests from every corner of the globe, each individual dressed in immaculate attire, representing the very height of societal prestige and tradition. Beyond the stone walls of the Abbey, the historic streets of London were utterly transformed, swallowed by an ocean of hundreds of thousands of passionate fans and spectators who had traveled from far-flung nations just to catch a fleeting glimpse of the procession, lining the avenues for miles in a vibrant display of flags, banners, and ecstatic celebration. Yet, even that massive crowd was merely a fraction of the true audience, as the global broadcast networks beamed the live imagery into hundreds of millions of households worldwide, capturing the imaginations of viewers across every time zone. From bustling Asian metropolises to quiet rural towns in the Americas. If you find yourself captivated by these grand moments where history, human emotion, and massive global spectacles converge into a single unforgettable narrative, please consider taking a brief moment to subscribe to our channel, ensuring you never miss our deep dives into the extraordinary events that shape our collective world. The build-up to an occasion of this staggering magnitude creates a unique atmosphere, a thick sense of shared anticipation where the sheer number of participants becomes almost overwhelming to contemplate, as every camera lens, every microphone, and every pair of eyes is aligned toward a singular focal point. There is a profound paradox inherent in these massive global milestones, where the infrastructure required to support them involves thousands of technical crew members, complex international broadcasting satellites, stringent security protocols, and meticulous logistical planning spanning several months or even years. The financial investments, the architectural preparations, and the coordinated efforts of entire cities are marshaled toward creating a flawless presentation, ensuring that every detail is captured with pristine clarity for the waiting world. As the minutes tick down toward the commencement of such a grand event, the collective energy of the onlookers reaches a crescendo, an electric vibration that can be felt through the television screens and across the crowded public squares, uniting strangers in a rare bond of mutual observation. This extraordinary accumulation of human focus creates a heavy, almost reverent atmosphere, where the weight of tradition and the immense scale of the gathering place an incredible burden of expectation upon the entire proceeding. Every individual present in the physical venue, every spectator shivering on the crowded pavement outside, and every viewer watching the live feed from the comfort of their home becomes an active participant in a massive piece of living history, contributing their own emotional energy to the grand collective experience. It is a testament to the power of shared human narrative that an event can grow so large, expanding its reach until it dominates global conversation, fills the front pages of international newspapers, and becomes the sole topic of discussion across digital networks. The sheer scale of this phenomenon seems to celebrate the vastness of our civilization, highlighting our ability to organize, execute, and participate in rituals that transcend national boundaries and cultural divides, creating a temporary global village bound by a single shared experience. Yet, as the grand spectacle reaches its absolute zenith, as the trumpets blare and the eyes of billions remain unblinkingly fixed on the unfolding scene, the true magic of the moment begins to shift in an unexpected and deeply profound direction. The immense, sprawling macrocosm of the global event begins to undergo a subtle, invisible contraction, a slow and deliberate narrowing of scope that challenges the very nature of its massive scale. As we prepare to look deeper into what happens when the overwhelming noise of a global audience suddenly meets the quietest, most profound human reality, we must appreciate the incredible contrast between the external grandeur and the internal essence of these monumental occasions. The vast crowds, the echoing cathedrals, the millions of glowing television screens across the globe, and the complex machinery of international media all begin to fade into the background, setting the stage for a transformation that turns the unimaginably large into something remarkably concentrated. This impending transition holds the key to understanding why these events resonate so deeply within the human psyche, proving that, no matter how massive the external world becomes, the truest power always resides in the smallest, most authentic spaces. The extraordinary transition from an overwhelming global spectacle to an intensely focused focal point represents one of the most captivating dynamics of human gatherings, a moment where the sheer momentum of millions of voices suddenly yields to an overarching stillness. When the grand ceremony reaches its critical juncture, and the meticulous preparations of months finally culminate in the central definitive act, the massive external framework of the event begins to dissolve for the participants involved. In the specific context of that historic day in London, as the majestic legal and ceremonial proceedings advanced toward their ultimate purpose, the vastness of Westminster Abbey seemed to undergo a profound psychological shrinkage. The hundreds of dignitaries, royalty, and international leaders who filled the ancient stone pews, despite their immense collective importance and social status, were systematically relegated to the role of silent witnesses as the focus shifted entirely away from the grandeur of the state. The complex broadcasting networks, transmitting crisp high-definition signals through fiber optic cables and satellite arrays to every continent on Earth, became mere passive pipelines, tracking a reality that was rapidly detached from the global audience's consumption. As Prince William and Catherine Middleton finally stood face-to-face to exchange their sacred music vows, the enormous physical and digital space encompassing billions of human beings contracted into a singular, breathtakingly small perimeter. At that exact moment, the noise of the cheering crowds lining the mall, the clicking of thousands of professional camera shutters, and the internal tension of a highly choreographed international event vanished entirely from the couple's immediate perception. They were no longer figures on a global stage, fulfilling a grand constitutional duty, nor were they symbols of an ancient institution operating under the critical gaze of the modern world. Instead, they were simply two human beings standing within arm's reach of one another. The visible intimacy that immediately enveloped them was so powerful, so completely authentic, that it effectively reauthored the entire meaning of the massive gathering, turning an event of unprecedented global proportions into an intensely private interaction. This striking duality is where the true emotional gravity of the occasion resides, illustrating a fascinating paradox where something so incredibly huge, demanding the mobilization of entire city infrastructures and global media empires, suddenly becomes so remarkably small and close. The onlookers watching the live broadcast from comfortable living rooms in New York, crowded electronics markets in Tokyo, or public screening areas in Sydney were treated to a rare, unscripted glimpse of genuine human connection that stood in sharp contrast to the rigid formality of the surrounding pageantry. Looking directly into each other's eyes, the couple created an invisible, impenetrable barrier that excluded the rest of the world, transforming the historic cathedral into a private sanctuary where only their spoken words and silent expressions held any actual currency. All of the elaborate decorations, the priceless historical artifacts, the formal uniforms, and the heavy weight of tradition became mere background scenery, completely secondary to the profound emotional reality unfolding in that tiny space between them. It is this specific quality of visible intimacy that elevates a public event into an unforgettable cultural touchstone, because it reminds the collective consciousness that at the heart of our most complex societal rituals lies a very simple, deeply relatable human experience. The vast machinery of the media, which had spent weeks analyzing every possible angle of the upcoming event, predicting the guest lists, analyzing the fashion choices, and discussing the historical precedents, was suddenly reduced to documenting a quiet, universal human truth. The hundreds of thousands of fans who had camped out on the cold pavements of London for days, enduring sleepless nights and unpredictable weather just to feel connected to this moment, found their long wait validated not by a display of grand, untouchable power, but by a display of profound vulnerability and mutual devotion. This convergence of the macrocosm and the microcosm creates a unique tension that keeps the audience utterly spellbound, as the viewer realizes that the ultimate success of this massive, multi-million-dollar production hinges entirely on the authentic emotional alignment of just two individuals. The realization that the entire global audience, with all its diverse cultures, languages, and personal perspectives, was unified in watching a space no larger than a few square feet is a testament to the enduring power of human connection. In that precise interval, the differences that normally divide the global population seemed to irrelevant, replaced by a shared fascination with an authentic display of love and commitment that required no translation or explanation. The heavy atmosphere of expectation that had built up over the preceding hours did not crush the intimacy of the moment. Rather, it served to magnify it, acting as a massive amplifier for a quiet exchange of promises that would define the rest of their lives. As the vows were spoken, the immense scale of the event served to emphasize just how rare and precious such moments of true closeness really are, standing out as a bright, clear signal amidst the constant noise of the modern world. The contrasts between the public duty being performed and the private emotion being felt created an unforgettable narrative texture, ensuring that the ceremony would be remembered not just as a successful logistical operation, but as a deeply moving human milestone. The viewer is left to contemplate how an event can simultaneously belong to the entire world and to absolutely no one except the two people standing at its center. A mystery that lies at the very heart of why we remain so utterly fascinated by these grand public spectacles. This profound narrowing of focus from the global to the personal provides a crucial lens through which we can understand the true value of our shared cultural rituals, demonstrating that their ultimate purpose is to celebrate and protect the quiet, foundational relationships that give structure to our lives. As the echoes of the vows faded into the vaulted ceilings of the ancient abbey, the core meaning of the day had been irrevocably established, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of the individuals who found themselves at the epicenter of this global storm. The narrative now transitions from the immediate, breathtaking intimacy of the ceremony to the broader context of the lives that brought them to this historic intersection, inviting us to look beyond the immediate glamour and examine the real human journeys that culminated in this extraordinary display of global unity. To truly comprehend how this moment of exquisite intimacy managed to captivate the collective imagination of the entire planet, one must look beyond the immediate grandeur of the wedding day and explore the rich, layered biographical tapestry of the two individuals who stood at the absolute center of this global event. The journey that brought Prince William and Catherine Middleton to the altar of Westminster Abbey was not merely a product of chance, but a long, carefully observed evolution that began far from the public eye in the quiet, historic setting of the University of St. Andrews in Scotland. It was within those ancient stone walls, amidst the ordinary routines of student life, that their initial connection was forged far removed from the crushing weight of public expectations and international media scrutiny that would later define their lives. Prince William, born into an ancient lineage of immense historical responsibility, had spent his entire existence under the unyielding gaze of the global spotlight, navigating the complex demands of his public role while carrying the profound personal legacy of his late mother, Princess Diana, whose own life had been so deeply intertwined with the public consciousness. This unique background instilled in him a deep understanding of the delicate balance between public duty and private reality, making his search for an authentic, grounded partnership all the more vital for his future stability. Catherine, coming from a supportive, close-knit family outside the traditional circles of the aristocracy, brought a refreshing sense of normalcy, resilience, and poise that would prove to be an invaluable asset as she prepared to step into one of the most visible positions in the modern world. Their early years together were characterized by a mutual determination to build a solid foundation based on genuine friendship, shared values, and a deep understanding of the enormous challenges that lay ahead of them. This prolonged period of development allowed them to cultivate a strong sense of mutual trust and shared purpose, ensuring that when the time finally arrived to present their commitment to the world, they were not merely actors playing a role, but two deeply aligned partners ready to face the future as a cohesive team. The immense significance of their union extended far beyond the immediate boundaries of their personal happiness, serving as a powerful symbol of continuity and modernization for an ancient institution navigating the complexities of the 21st century. By blending centuries-old traditions with a contemporary, relatable approach to public service, their partnership breathed new life into the cultural fabric of the nation, offering a reassuring sense of stability in an era marked by rapid, unpredictable global change. The related events that followed their historic wedding day have further demonstrated the profound impact of their partnership, as they transitioned into their roles as global ambassadors, champions for numerous charitable causes, and dedicated parents raising the next generation under the watchful eyes of the public. Their focused work in areas such as mental health awareness, early childhood development, and environmental conservation has consistently reflected the same authentic, human-centric approach that was so clearly visible during their wedding vows, proving that the intimacy witnessed in the Abbey was a true reflection of their core values. The global audience that watched them exchange those vows was not merely consuming a piece of high-profile entertainment. They were witnessing a profound moment of human transition that resonated across cultural, linguistic, and geographic divides because it touched upon a universal truth. It reminded a fractured and often cynical world that despite the immense scale of our global systems, the complex machinery of modern media, and the heavy burdens of history, the foundational elements of our existence remain beautifully simple and deeply personal. The enduring legacy of that day lies in how it successfully demonstrated that the truest form of power does not reside in grand, untouchable displays of wealth or status, but in the quiet, vulnerable moments of authentic human connection that each and every one of us can understand and experience in our own lives. As the global broadcast concluded, and the massive crowds slowly dispersed from the streets of London, returning to their normal lives across the face of the earth, they carried with them a renewed appreciation for the extraordinary power of shared narrative and the timeless importance of commitment. The story of that day, which began with the gathering of billions of minds and narrowed down to the quiet space between two people looking into each other's eyes, remains a definitive masterpiece of modern cultural history, illustrative of our collective capacity to pause, unite, and find deep meaning in a singular, unforgettable moment of pure human sincerity. This remarkable intersection of the monumental and the magnificent with the quietest whispers of the human heart serves as a permanent reminder that no matter how vast, complicated, and fast